Hello everyone, this is Lori from Grammy's Keepsakes, and I thought we could do a little craft with me today. I have been going to work on these little golden books for quite a while, and I keep getting distracted with all kinds of other ideas. So I have these that I want to put together, and I thought maybe you could go along with me. We Help Daddy, A Child's Garden of Verses, Raggedy Ann and Andy, the Little Gray Kitten. And what I've done is already cut the chipboard for my spines, and I've chosen some fabric to be the cover of our spines, but I still have this one that I need to take apart. So let's go ahead and do that. I have process videos and tutorials of how I do this process already on my channel, but if you'd want to refer to that, that's great. Otherwise, let me see if we can recreate it. And I'm just grabbing a couple of tools. I have an X-Acto knife. It's kind of dull, but it'll work. My pokey tool and a staple puller. So what I want to do first is find where there's two staples underneath this tape, usually only two. One time I ran across three, but that's okay. What we're going to do is find out where it is and cut through the tape to expose that staple. Yeah. There's that one. Got to concentrate so I don't cut myself, especially with a dull knife, right? And there's the other one. Okay, so that side of the staples are exposed. Now I want to flip it over and do the same thing so I can get at the little leg. Kind of trying to take a big piece out of there. Okay, I've got that one exposed. Felt the metal on the blade, so I'm close. Okay, now I'm going to grab the staple puller and see if I can get in underneath those legs. There's some heavy-duty staples, but all I want to do is lift them up. Do you see how I got them lifted up like that? Now I want to do that to this side. Grab a plier. Okay, now I'm going to flip it over to this side, And I've got them, the backs exposed so I can get in there with my staple puller. Got one semi removed. Oh, that one came all the way out. Okay, I'm going to use my pliers and try to remove the rest of this. And instead of yanking, I just turn and twist to work it out. So we don't need the staple puller anymore. Get rid of the garbage so we don't get poked with the staple. And now we're just going to gently open up the book. And I like to keep my hinges intact so that my pages are complete. Everybody has a different way of doing it, and they're all good ways. This is just my way. And now we want to see what we can do about that tape. Let's just try slicing it. We don't want to slice the book. There we go. We got it removed. Hi, Lynn. Are you making a golden book along with me? I know that you've got some on your to-do list. And I'm just removing the extra bulk from the tape so it doesn't add any bulk to our finished. Get rid of that. Remove the pages. They're still kind of attached to the gummy tape, so we're just going to be careful. And we'll set those aside, and now we can remove what we can of this tape here. And if you can't get it off, that's okay too. So I've got this picky detail of mine that I like to have everything so smooth and nice and perfect. And sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's not. It kind of gets in the way. But I like the finished results when it's nice and smooth, so that's why I take the care. I really need to get some new blades. I never remember when I'm at the store. I'm gonna have to make a list. But the trouble is, I forget the list at home. So I have to become more familiar with my smartphone listing, I think. But that's not gonna happen overnight. Teach an old dog new tricks, you know. Feels pretty good. I'm going to use a little bit of a sanding block here to see if I can smooth out the transition. And I'm careful not to go on my cover, just on this tape part. That pickiness again. put that away. Yep. Put the knife away so I don't get poked. Now we need to cut some Tyvek. And if you're not familiar with this, it's made out of, it's a papery fabric, fibrous type thing. It's waterproof and tear proof. And I recycle them from when I get my orders in the post office. And I've got people saving them for me too. You can buy it online, of course, also. And I believe that Joann Fabrics has it by the yard now too, so. But I like to upcycle and recycle everything I can get. Kind of loud, I'm sorry. Okay, so got that seam torn apart. Now I'm going to go ahead and just put this in my cutter and cut off that edge. Now it opens up nice. Go ahead and fold it so it's manageable. And I'm going to measure my book, and it's probably just a hair over 7 7/8. So I'm going to cut this down at 7 7/8. My cutter is so big. I have it on its own table over here to my left so that it doesn't take up all my workspace. Actually, my workspace is not big enough for that cutter. It can cut 15-inch wide papers, and so I love it. So I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. Now what we want to do is put our book back together. So we need a strip of Tyvek, and we're going to measure because we don't want to go too far over into our book, and we want a space between our spine and another space between the spine. I'm going to bring it down a little bit so I can measure. I'm just going maybe not quite a 1/4 of an inch past that little hinge, the natural hinge from the book. And now I'm going to measure that. And I'm going to cut it at 3 1/4. And this is going to reinforce the spine. And I like to fold it in half so I know where my middle is. I'm going to use Fabri-Tac glue today. You can use tacky glue for this part too. I'm putting glue on my spine. And I believe this one I just randomly cut. This one's 1 3/4. And now I just want to center it, and I'm using that fold for my guide so that it's center. Now I'm going to apply some glue on this half, the little wing that's going to attach my cover. You want to leave a space in there, and what you can do is use your ruler, and then you have an even space. Or you can make a spacer from some chipboard, or you can use these wonderful tools that I got from Claudia at Colorway Arts. These make great spacers also. And you use it on the little narrow end. Isn't that great? I just love them. And then I put it up on my end so it's parallel. And now I'm going to put some glue on this side. Oops. It's oozing out. I always forget the cover. I'm terrible. And the cover is right there in front of me too. There, did. Now you want to be careful so that your book cover is not upside down. So they're all reading the same direction, so I'm good. Put in my spacer. And Claudia, Colorway Arts, has Etsy store that you can get these tools from. And I gotta say, this one is my absolute favorite. I had her first edition of the metal corner tool. There's the store. But now she has this one with that little, and you can see it's so well loved. I use it all the time when I make my fabric covers and when I do the wallpaper covers. I use it all the time. And these are nice and sturdy. Okay, so now I'm going to let that one dry a little bit. And we can go on to making the next one. I've already got it taken apart. We help Daddy. I don't have this one as cleaned up. Got Father's Day coming pretty soon, so this one's going to be very appropriate. And with the spring work and everything, we always love to help in the yard. Okay, so I've got my hinge for this book. I need my Tyvek again. I'm going to measure. It's probably going to be the same. Just past the hinge. Let's line everything up. Let's do 3 1/4 again. glue on the spine. You can make the spine whatever width you want. This just works out nice for me. I like to put 3 signatures in the book. The books come, the old ones come in 2 signatures. And so what I do is I use the story for the first and the last signature. And the center one, I leave it for mostly journaling, drawing, writing, the infamous list taking that I'm so bad at. You can even put your photos in, to recreate your old memories and to document for new memories with your family now. These little golden books are so nostalgic. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and place this on here as well. Grab my little spacer. The fabric tack grabs it really quickly, so that is nice. And I'm putting a fair amount of glue on, but not overly because it's going to work. And we're going to have fabric on here as well. All right, that one's good. So I'm going to put that aside to let it dry too. And then we just have one more. Oh, look at this book. It has a drawing in it. All for fun. We'll have to make sure that we use this in the book that we make somewhere. I'm going to set it right inside the cover so I don't lose it, that first page. You always find little treasures in the books. This one just needs to be cleaned up a little bit. I'm giving the hinge support so that I don't break it or tear it. It's been well loved. We don't want to ruin it now. Sometimes I've have to repair or replace covers, but when they come in such good shape, I want to use what we have. I'm going to go ahead and, it looks like 3 1/4 is the going number today, so let's cut one more piece of Tyvek. And go ahead and put glue on our spine. I still have a couple of lots of little golden books on my Etsy store, and to get rid of them, you know, out of destashing my space, I have put them on sale, so they're 30% off until May 5th. So if you're interested, and they're just an assortment of titles, and then with each of the orders I'm going to throw in a bonus book also. I just got so many of them, I just won't have time in my lifetime to put them all together. So I thought, let me share. Because crafting and collecting seem to be my two favorite hobbies, but I've got to de-stash a little bit so that I can create a little bit easier. Or I'm going to have to take over another room in my house. And that's a scary thought, isn't it? Sounds kind of fun though, actually, you know. But my grandsons would have way too much fun if I had it everywhere. They would get into things that could hurt them, and I don't want that to happen. But they love to craft with me, so that's a good thing. They learn a lot from crafting. It's a good way for me to get them, to teach them about math and numbers and stuff, so kind of sneaky. Getting glue everywhere. I must have applied way too much. Let's see if oh, I'm okay. Okay. And my covers are going the right direction, so that's a bonus. Okay, I'm going to let this one dry and go ahead and put the spacers away so I don't lose them. And of course I drop them on the floor already. So now we're going to work on the fabric, because this first one should be all ready to go. So on this one I chose this little blue cotton print. Oh, there's a little scrap. And I like to go both sides, so I need lots of fabric. Yep, this will work. So oh, this one's got a ripped edge. I like the ripped edge. So grab a little pair of scissors so I know where to, I'm going to cut the fabric, give it a little snip so that I can rip it. And I'm just kind of, rather than measuring, I'm eyeballing it where I'd like it to be so that it covers the Tyvek, but it doesn't go way off into the covers. Oh, the scissors, the tip's still, that's not good. And then just go ahead and rip, knock over my bottle of water. Clean up some of the threads. I think that's going to be really pretty. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is apply some glue and I'm using the spatula that came with the tools from Claudia, and just kind of spread that. And I've got the fabric, just place it down where I want it to be. I've got some overlapping on the bottom and the top of the book. It's nice and smooth, no ridges. Now go ahead and flip it over. And for this bottom one, I want to just kind of trim it up about an inch. And apply that up. Grab a baby wipe here. And I don't want to put glue on the right side of the fabric. Baby wipes, I think, are the greatest invention, aren't they? I wish we had them when my daughter was a baby. And then this is going to come down like that. So go ahead and apply glue. Don't go too far because it'll ooze, so I just keep it over here on the hinge. Bring it all the way. And we want it. Yeah, that'll be good. And I'm going to go ahead and just spread it a little bit. And I'm pulling the fabric so it's taut and lining it up. And then I wiped off the glue off my spatula so I can go ahead and use it to spread the fabric. And then this, we're just going to go ahead and trim it off. And go ahead and let that dry for a bit, because in here on this part I know that we'll have to go in and add a little bit more glue here and there, but I'd rather do that than have it oozing all over the paper book. I'm using art glitter glue for this because it's got that fine tip and I can control it so much easier. Fabric tack tends to come out thick and gloppy, and when you have a nice new bottle, it just runs. So I lose my control then. And then just needs a little bit down here on the bottom. And there we have our little book. And we'll check to see if we need to do any more gluing through the process. But in the meantime, it's good to so I can let it dry for now. So here I've got We Help Daddy. And okay, good. This one will work. And it looks like I have a ripped edge already. Okay. Oh, here it is. Get the pin back in that art glitter glue. So I'm just going to eyeball measure it a little bit. Okay, I'm not in any danger of covering up anything. Daddy's all the way over here, so I'm good. Removing my extra threads again. And I'm going to go ahead and apply glue. And just a little bit on that intersection there. And go ahead and use my spatula and spread it down. It grabs so nice. Okay, go ahead and flip it over. We're going to do this bottom one first. When I'm working, everything tends to get closer and closer to me. Now we'll go ahead and apply glue to this side. And we know how wide our glue can be, but we want to be careful so that we don't go over the edge because we don't want it to be on our book. It is nice that it's easy to kind of rub off the Fabri-Tac, but I don't want it to take any of the dye from the printing with it because it's acetone based, so it can deface the paper a little bit. So if I can avoid it, I do. Sometimes you can't. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just spread it straight down. And when you're spreading this into a thin layer, it also makes it so that it doesn't seep through the fabric to the other side. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, and I have a curl here. Looks like some of my glue is all over me. So I want to hold on to that and bring it down, but taut, kind of pull. Okay, I don't have glue on that far edge, so I'm safe there. So now we'll go ahead and press this down. And cut off that excess. I'm just putting the fabric, training the fabric in the hinges so that they know where I want them to bend automatically, you know, with the glue and stuff while it's still workable. It just helps, because then it makes for a nice cover, closure of the cover. So now can fix this a little bit, and I'm going to use the art glitter glue again. I love that fine tip. And this is less forgiving, so you need to be careful. Have a few threads, but it's looking good. Put the pin back in, because we can clean that up later. Give it one more. And there's our cover for We Help Daddy. Doesn't that look nice? I like it. Okay, I'm going to let that dry. Now we have our Raggedy Ann and Andy. We got a nice big piece of fabric here. Yep, this will work. And this is a new piece. So first thing I need to do is get rid of the selvage. And I use 100% cotton. And the selvage is the manufacturer edge, and it has its branding and different things on it. And we're going to go ahead and just, well, let's get rid of this one. This will work. I'm just going to clip into it, into the print, and then rip. And then I can get rid of that. And no, I'm not going to keep it. It would make a nice tie or something, but like I said about destashing, it's not going to happen. So we're going to throw it away. And now, my title is really close, so I need to be observant of that. So I do want my, here, we'll use a single layer. Okay, so then we're going to make a snip here on this side and rip. This is, I think it was on clearance, and I think I got like a half a yard. And it's such a pretty print. That'll cover in a lot of books. And it'll do just a lot of crafts in general. Get rid of my extra threads. And it kind of looks a little bit about being a one-directional type of fabric. You see how, let's put it this way, so that the book is right. See how a lot of the flowers, this looks like it's the bottom of the flower. So we want to always watch for the directional, if your print has a direction, so that it's going the right way as the cover. So I'm going to put it that way so we don't get mixed up. Go ahead and apply our glue. All over the Tyvek. And those of you who order the Kool-Aid dyed paper from me, the 8.5 by 14 for the legal size and all the pretty colors for the little golden books, I always send it to you in a Tyvek envelope too. So you have an envelope to reuse for your projects. So it's like a little bonus. Okay. Now we're going to spread it thin. We don't want it seeping through on our cover. Wipe off my spatula. This is a great tool. I love it. Okay, we want like an inch down below to wrap over. Okay, it looks like we're gonna cover a little tiny bit of the R, but you can still make out what the word says, so it'll be good. Spread it down. And let's flip it over. We're going to do that bottom part first. I'm going to trim that off so it's not frayed. And go ahead and press that down into the glue. Rub off the glue off my mat so it doesn't get on the cover of my book. Now we can go ahead and apply glue on the rest of the hinge and spine. And then the little hinge. And in that little valley. Now we can spread it. And the fabric falls in the glue right away. Okay, I'm pulling it taut. Got a red thread from our last fabric. And it's upside down on this side, but that's okay. It's on the inside of the book. Getting in the grooves, the hinge. Cut off this extra. That's going to be so pretty. And then it's not quite to the edge, which is a good thing, because then it didn't seep out. So we're going to get that fabric or art glitter glue, that fine tip, just so that we can control it. And apply some glue. And if it wasn't all the way stuck down to the edge, that's okay too. We're not fussy. So we're going to go ahead and do it on this side. Have a little bit on the front here. Can't get my big fingers in there. All right, so then just going to apply some glue here so that the fabric gets adhered down. This one's down pretty good, pretty close, but we're just going to tidy it up just a bit, and then it can dry. The cover's on the glue. Now we're going to let this dry, and let's choose some papers to work with to add to our book. That's the fun part. So we've got A Child's Verses, We Help Daddy, and Raggedy Ann. They're starting to look like books. Isn't that great? Okay, so we've got the pages themselves and A Child's Garden of Verses, and want to look carefully to see where it separates. Don't get my pages out of order. Okay, separates right here. See, the glue from that tape was so sticky that I'd be careful to find out where my pages started and ended. It still has quite a bit of glue on it, but I don't want to rip the paper unnecessarily. So just see if I can separate them. Okay, I put it inside the cover so I don't lose it, because they get out of order. I should have read the story before I took it apart, but I didn't. This is one little golden book that I've never read. This is illustrated by Eloise Wilkin. I love her work. She's such a great artist. I've got quite a few of her books that I want to work on, but this is one of them. So that goes in there, and Raggedy Ann, oh, that one's already separated, so we're going to go ahead and put it in its cover. And We Help Daddy, oh, that one's separated right away too. So put it in its cover. Okay, let's find some stuff to work with. I dug out some wallpaper we can use. I've got music paper. We've got colored Kool-Aid dyed paper. And here's one little stack that we can start looking through. Oh, these little readers, I like to use these for pictures in the pockets and stuff for ephemera. So I'm going to put that to the side so I don't lose it. In this book, A World That Sings, I thought this might have some nice things for our children's garden of verses, so we'll take a look at that later. Okay, we've got Cleaning Up. This is a dictionary page from the Children's Encyclopedia. I think cleaning up and the city and stuff that needs to go into We Help Daddy. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold it in half and pop it in. Let's work with the music pages first, get those out of the way. I am going to grab a big piece of Kool-Aid dyed paper so that I know the size that I'm looking for. This is okay, it's perfect. Oh, it's going to be too tall, but that's okay. We'll trim that. So let's go ahead and fold those in half. And I'm going to have 3 signatures in each, and I can have 1 music sheet in each one. So okay. And then I'm going to find some Kool-Aid dyed papers that we can use. Grab my stash. So let's find some pretty colors. Okay, Child's Garden of Verses. Let's pick out 3 pages. I think it needs to have pink, blue, that has a nice splotch. That'll be nice. How about a green? Let's do a green. Okay. We Help Daddy. Let's find, oh, we gotta have some green for that grass. Or I guess it's the bushes he's trimming. Blue for Daddy. No purple. Yeah, we'll go with the yellow. Now I have Raggedy Ann and Andy. I'm thinking that their pink is good for them, and I've got the really bright, dark pink. Let's use that. I don't know if Andy likes it, but that's okay. Let's use some orange in that too. Orange is pretty. Oh, I like this one. Let's use that one. And how about some purple? I've got a few different shades. Ooh. Yes, this is the one. Every time I do the dyeing, it turns out a little bit different. Gotta love it, but those will be great. And as you can see, I've got quite a bit of stash, so I have it listed on my Etsy shop, and there's enough for you and me here. And I'm constantly re-dyeing. At least every week I make more. So feel free. Let's get that put aside. And then I've got, let's put a coffee filter in each one too. So let's pick some pretty colors for that. This one doesn't have any yellow. Let's do yellow. And blue. And green. And then now we have We Help Daddy. This blue spotted one is nice. Let's put an orange one in there for Daddy. And green. We're just randomly picking colors. If it works, great. If it doesn't, we can change it. Child's Garden of Verses. Oh, this purple. This one. Yes. Love this one. When you do order my Kool-Aid dyed paper, I always throw in some of my little coffee filters as a little freebie gift for you too. So that's one way for you to get them. Oh, and let's do a pretty pink. Okay, so we've got one each for each signature in each of the 3 books. I just love digging through that fun colored stuff. It's so much fun. And let's see, I've got some children's activity book pages. Let's go through that and just pull some random pages out. Here we've got the center. Yeah, we'll do that. And I'm just going to go ahead and rip it down the middle. And this is very vintage. Look how colored that paper is. It's wonderful. So we've got 3 for that book, 3 for the next one, and we need 3 more. Use up all my treasures. Okay, so we've got lots of fun stuff so far. Here I've got some fun book pages. There's 3 of these. Let's put the Little Bear Family in Raggedy Ann. We'll use those there. And here I've got the Tale of Mr. Jeremy Fisher. Okay, this one's still connected. Let's go ahead and clip out those threads. Well, let's pick another signature. There. And we'll go ahead and clip the threads so we can keep our story intact. Oh, this was written by Beatrix Potter, or it's based on the story by her. Okay, so we've got, and these, Jeremy Fisher, it's going to go into Daddy. So I've still got some of that left. Okay, so I'll have to do some more digging to find some more pretty pages for children's Garden of Verses, but in the meantime, I've got some wallpaper that I dug out already. So let's use this, and this for Daddy. We're having an assortment, aren't we? This looks like a sweater, and it's textured in the orange. This is going to be for our Raggedy Ann. And then these 3 will be for our child's Garden of Verses. And then we need some tea-dyed paper, coffee-dyed paper, too. And I've got some legal size that I'm working on coloring, or I wiped it with some coffee this morning, and it's not quite ready yet. So we'll have some legal size to put in here too. But there we are to start. And then we've got some masking paper that I can cut or rip, and we can put in with that. And oh, there's lots of fun pages. But I'm going to stop here today so you can gather up your papers. And I like to have about 15 pages in each signature. And then we can carry on from here. Thank you for watching.